TAQ Capital. Technical analysis quickly.
This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Before taking any action based on the information provided on this channel, it is recommended that you seek the advice of a professional licensed financial advisor.
Let's do this.
Alright, welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope everyone, or at least in the US, is having a great Labor Day weekend out there. I just want to discuss what's going on with Ethereum here again and how it relates to what's going on with Bitcoin. You can see that we have been trying to break through this fib level here, and it's currently what we're right in the middle of doing. I'm on the 1 hour chart right now, so we are 20 minutes away from populating a new candle, which if we stay where we are here will be above this fib line for the first time since 2 a.m. because we fell down through and we've been going ever since. We're just now coming off of this wicked meltdown. Like if I zoom out here onto say zoom in onto the 3 minute here, you can see we just shot down and then came bouncing back up. I'd say this is analogous to a wrestler running against the ropes and springing back, building up momentum. Because what happened is if we go back to the 1 hour, we tried to break through here, got rejected, hit here, got rejected, then had our little meltdown and came springing back out of these Bollinger Bands, thrusting back through to make another attempt to come through here. So it's really going to come down to how do we hold up here battling against this Kijin on the 1 hour. We keep hitting it. And this Kijin on the 1 hour will probably be represented by other things on other time frames. So let's look. Yep, it looks like it's the Tenkin on the 3 hour and the Kijin on the 4 hour. So yeah, it's the same. It's just finding a lot of resistance on all these different trigger points. But this little meltdown we saw here is the quintessential example of how Bitcoin is king, because this little meltdown here is exactly what took place on Bitcoin. Same exact meltdown right here. And then we came right back up. We're still struggling, coming back down. I know we're challenging on Bitcoin, we're challenging this blue ring, which if you zoom out a little bit, looks like this. We got our first rejection there, came crashing down, and we don't actually have a second rejection, at least not on the 30 minute. If you zoom in more to like the 6 hour, I mean, this looks like a connection here. So we rejected up here, came down, rejected here, crashing down. But what's going on with the wedges on Bitcoin? Because if you were just to look at the fib circle and how well it's being respected, you would think you're probably in for a whole heck of a lot more downside for a while. So on the wedge here, we've got, whoa, that was awful. We've got this yellow wedge here, this yellow wedge here, and we've got our 1, 2, man, I can't tell if that's 3 or that's 3. And then at some point we're going to come up for a 4. So let me see if I can figure out which one of these two is closer by zooming in. There on the zoom in, we've got a hit here and a hit here. This middle one is not a hit. And this is again on the 6 hour. But this is what I mean by Bitcoin is king. You know, as I'm recording this, you know, we had this massive bounce back, very impressive, and now it's coming crashing down. And of course, Ethereum's now doing the same thing. I mean, they're basically one and the same. It looks like they're being governed by the exact same algorithms, all the way up, coming back down. Bitcoin, Ethereum. Bitcoin, Ethereum. It's pretty ridiculous, but you get the point. I mean, what's possible now, because we have a hit here and a hit here, we could be actually looking at moving this up. And then we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 for Ethereum, and then this is going to be our bounce breakout. So it'll actually be the third attempt at getting through this fib line. So we might be in a little bit of a reset before we do something along these lines. I mean, it's also possible that we're going to do something more like a hard rejection down, set a new point for the pink line, and then go back up and then get our breakout. So I'm not sure. I mean, we don't have a massive breakout here of the Bollinger Band, and we have a huge one here, which tends to, even with this little compensation, kind of throw us more back up. So, I mean, we'll see as it unfolds. I'll probably still be recording when the 4 o'clock hits, and we'll check out the hourly and the 2 hour to see what we got. I mean, this yellow wedge here with our 1, 2, 3, and ideally 4 being way up here before we have our breakdown and out is, I mean, it's not playing out, but it's looking pretty suspect at this point because, I mean, we're almost to the point where we're going to be lowering this yellow line down some to make up for all these drops we keep doing. So it could end up being something further down in here. You know, as of right now, yeah, we have the 1, 2, 3, but if we draw a wedge from the last hit here, this green wedge, or the hit there, I can't say the last hit, and then come down and meet this one, and we're talking 1, 2, 3, and we actually have to come down here and hit a 4th. Now, we don't know where this green is going to be, but we do know that this green has to be below this spot. So, I mean, even if we cut it tight like this would put this hit here, which would have us adjust the yellow one to come down with it. And then on the yellow, we're talking 1, 2, this becomes our 3, and then we're going to be going up to complete the green, and then up to touch our 4th on the yellow, and then come down for a breakout. And I would anticipate that's probably going to be, I don't know, Tuesday. I'd imagine the markets are going to open and they're going to be terrible, and then there's going to be a huge meltdown, but maybe that's me just being negative. You know, it's also quite possible, which would not be good, is if I'm totally wrong on this Fibonacci retracement tool, and we are not headed up here, because we could be forming a symmetrical wedge. If we just drag the yellow down, and basically just mimicking the green, we've got hit, 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 and now we're pushing against the Bollinger Band here on the 7 hour. We could be working our way down here for a breakdown, and because we broke down into this wedge, doing this bounce like this, it's generally a down, and on the higher time frames, like a 7 hour, for instance, it's more likely to adhere to that breaking out in the direction that it broke down into it. So this could just be a thing of the past, and we're just working on breaking down and out. I don't think so, even though I am macro bearish for the 4th quarter here, but that is another possible scenario that I do want to point out. And, you know, these are so close together, which is great, the Kijun and the Tenkin. The tunnel is where pressure builds. The fact that it's pushing against the elastic, so to speak, the Bollinger Bands here, could indicate an explosion up if it starts to push further down. I mean, possibly even creating a new low. Because if we did create a new low, now this wedge will switch from a symmetrical wedge down to a downward wedge. In which case we've got our hit, 3's a hit, and then be up and out. This would no longer be a hit. So a subtle change here could indicate a good thing. No change could indicate a bad thing. I realize that's a lot of guesswork, but unfortunately, when the charts aren't given a shit, that's what we're left having to do. I mean, I do like the 6 hour. That makes me feel pretty good. The fact that we've got the Tenkin just now crossing the Kijun, in it, which it will do that before the 7 hour. So when the next 7 hour populates at 5 o'clock, we could be looking at the Tenkin doing the exact same thing and pointing up over the Kijun, and then pulling these candles up with it, because that's going to be a slightly more bullish scenario. So setting up. And the fact that we're doing all of this in the tunnel indicates, you know, something's about to blow. I just hope it's not down and we're looking at something more up temporarily, because otherwise that means I'm wrong about this Fibonacci retracement tool and hitting our price of 21.2-ish. But we'll see. But to zoom out a little bit more here, this is the 8 hour. We've got the Bollinger Bands that have come together to create the tunnel. And now we're inside the tunnel where the pressure builds before we go into our next move. And I guess if there's good news, we've got the yellow wedge, which is looking like 1, 2, 3, and up. So we've got one thing telling us up. We've got the green wedge, which is 1, 2, 3, This is telling us down a little bit before we go up for the breakout, because we have to break up out of this. So that's good as well. But the Ichimoku cloud could go either way, at least on the 8 hour. I mean, yeah, the green could come up, the red could cross, and then we're looking bullish for a second. That is one possible scenario. If we jump down to the smaller time frames to get a more micro view of what's going on, yeah, we have green above red on the 4 hour, which is generally a good sign, but look how often it's swapping here because it can't make up its mind what it's doing. So we can't hang our hat on that one. If we look at the 5 hour, very similar situation. 6 hour, we have the 6 hour just about to cross the red. That's good, but the next 6 hour candle populates with the next daily candle. So that's at 8 p.m. tonight. So we're 4 hours away from that one. So that'll be very revealing. If we can turn this boat around and start having some things the candles start to come up again, that will be a game changer for us. It's also possible that this wedge here, the green one, is a symmetrical wedge. So we'd have 2, 3, and then 4 could actually be right here, just so it misses that one. And then you would have the green at the bottom going up, the green at the top going down, which makes it a symmetrical wedge. Then it could break up or down. But on a 6 hour time frame, we'd be looking at, because we broke up into the green and then did our 4, we would break up out of the green. But there's no guarantee of that, because like I've been saying with symmetrical wedges, they can break out either way. Okay, back to Ethereum. This is the 1 hour chart. This is where I was talking about is bouncing off the Kijin here on the 1 hour. We are not staying up in this area here to where we're likely to populate a candle above the Kijin. So being 2 minutes out from the next 1 hour candle, I'm going to go ahead and say don't hold your breath on that one. It might be something that we do, the following hour. I'm not, being super negative here, but this has just been a very slow, very boring, very weak, few days here. Coming down, and, we could have more of this before, not hitting the yellow line down here before we come up and have another breakout this way. So this could be very slow and very painful. I mean, theoretically, this blue here, this blue wedge, might actually be, another symmetrical wedge, in that this one's pointing down and this one's pointing up, and it doesn't really tell us anything. All it really does is give us our next mark to measure out, the next wedge. It doesn't really do much more than that. It doesn't have any predictive ability. Alternatively, it's just a blue symmetrical wedge. We have a hit, 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 and now we're probably going to do something like this and break up out, because that goes hand in hand with the yellow wedge, which is our 4th hit, breakdown, and out, which will then end this Fibonacci line. So that's probably the more likely scenario on the blue wedge, because this is going down and this is going up as we sit here right now. But I mean, even with this, meltdown here, I've got to come back up here and move this pink line to reflect that. So now the pink line is like that. And this is our 3rd hit on the pink. So we shouldn't come down to another one here, though we keep pushing this pink line out further and further, so who frickin' knows anymore before we get the breakout of the blue. So hopefully we have something exciting happen here soon. If you got in on my position that I suggested yesterday, which was 1536, which was the Kijin on the 7 hour here, you're still sitting pretty, because we clipped it there and then went up, came down, clipped it again, and then going back up. So this is acting as excellent support. And as of right now, you're up almost a whole percent, which if you're doing like a 10x leverage, you're up 10%. It's not too bad. And you can see that we found support there, support there, support there, support there. So this is a major fib line as well. So it's possible that on the 7 hour here, before the next candle at 5 o'clock, which is now less than an hour out, the body of the candle will come up and be sitting on that. So we would have found support again, and then hopefully we're taking off. And I know I keep saying that, but I also keep meaning that. I'm ready for some bullish freaking action here, people. And you can even see now we're actually getting caught below the Tenkin on the 1 hour, which is not good, being 1 minute away. So that 1 minute hit, this is the new candle on the 4 hour, already red, already coming down. new candle on the 2 hour, and new candle on the 1 hour. So we've got another at least hour of boringness. I mean, it looked good, looked like quite the ramp up and out. But now, I mean, when you look at the 30-minute here, we're so far out, we're probably going to do a 30-minute reset. So we're going to come down here before we go back up again and maybe make another attempt at this Fibonacci line. I love the predictable nature of the Fibonacci lines in that, you know, they are support and resistance, and they can give you great understanding of the macro view. But my God, when they're trying to get over these things, it can be painful to watch. Just to show you again on the 5-minute on Ethereum, this giant breakout on the bottom here and only this little pathetic touch on the top. It's not absolutely necessary that we come down here and we complete a 5-minute cycle, but because we're on the 5-minute, I mean, 5-minute cycles happen all the time. I mean, you got to hit, this missed, hit, out. So this might be, you know, over here might be more like this, where we don't actually get the hit and we turn around and start going the other way. It is possible. You know, the 3-minute, huge out, tiny out. So it's possible that we don't do a reset, but I mean, here we're talking out. So generally there's an out before we go up again. From a daily view, it looked like we were trying to dip down here and get behind this candle so that we could swoop it up into the mouth, but that didn't work. So maybe that's something that's going to take place. Like if we can get some bullish action and get this to turn green, and then at 8 o'clock, this dips down underneath, and we actually have a candle forming above this, that could be what we need to carry this out to that 1720 mark, or maybe up here to the 1760 area where we meet this Fibonacci and get rejected. But I think this video has gone on long enough. I mean, I do anticipate something happening here soon, because we've got the, you know, Tenkan and the Kijin so close together here on the 1 hour after this reset from this meltdown back here. So, I mean, that's a good sign that something could happen soon. Hopefully it's a good thing, whatever position that you're in. But like these freaking gang signs we're throwing up here, like what the hell is that? This is indicating that it's a huge mouth, and the Kijin's up here, so there's some, you know, pull power to get it up in here. But this also further indicates that it's going to be slow moving. You know, I don't anticipate us breaking through these things quickly. So it might be an overnight thing. I don't know, but I'd say be cautiously optimistic for the bulls out there. But I'm going to wrap this video up for now. Like I said, enjoy your Labor Day weekend out there, my U.S. folks. Everybody else, hopefully you're making some money and enjoying your weekends too. And I will see you in the next video.